All right, we're going to look at the graph of the cosine function. So this is also a wave function. It's sort of interesting, the idea of putting a value. Which one's better? So basically one is a shift of the other. So you could use either one to describe a wave. I think the thing is to notice is that if you compare this to the sine function, the cosine function does not start at the origin like sine. It starts up here in the top one because cosine of 0 is 1. So let's just go ahead and list some of the things that we can see here. The domain is R. The range is y between 1 and -1, or between -1 and 1. The period is p equals 2 pi. That's the length, the least length at which it repeats itself. And then we have something I'm calling the quarter period. Maybe no one else is calling it that, but I think it's a useful thing, which is sort of explains itself by the name. It's the period divided by 4. And see, what that does is it allows us to find key points. So the key points, maybe I'll write that down here. The key points are starting at 0, which gives us a maximum. I'm just going to look at what they call a fundamental cycle. 0, I have a maximum, and then at the quarter period at pi over 2, I have a x-intercept, and now I add another pi over 2 to get 2/2 pi, which is pi, and that gives the minimum, and then I'll add another quarter period of pi over 2 and get 3/2 pi, and that gives another x-intercept, and then 2 pi gives me a maximum again, and then we start at the beginning. We start over again. So I'll write down called the fundamental cycle. And then the symmetry we can really see here. The graph is symmetric about the y-axis. This means that the function y equals cosine x is an even function. So symmetric around the y-axis of a function means that it's even. And so what even means is when you put in a negative value, or it doesn't have to be a negative number, but the opposite of x, if you put the opposite of x, that is the same thing as just putting in x. That's what it means to be even. And one of the ways I remember that is I look at the graph. The graph is symmetric around the y-axis, and that means it's an even function. All right, so this is the real star here, is this graph here. All the things I wrote down before can be, or what I wrote down below, can be understood just by looking at this picture. I mean, you can get the domain, the range, the period, everything from this picture.